talk about some top stories. And if you missed yesterday's Trump hush money trial, it was a lot because we had Stormy Daniels on the stand there. This was the prosecution's one of their star witnesses to talk about Donald Trump and something that happened allegedly almost 20 years ago. So let's break it all down. There is a break in action today. They have Wednesdays off in court, but we want to gear you up for tomorrow as well. So let's bring in criminal defense attorney Dwane. It's always great to have you on as we continue to talk about this. And so, yeah, Stormy Daniels was on the stand, and maybe too many people heard a little bit too much when it comes to the alleged affair there in the room.
Well, yeah, first of all, she should never have been on the stand because nothing she has to say is relevant to any fact in this case, any of the criminal charges, any of that. It virtually has nothing to do with that. You know, I mean, absolutely nothing. And that's big reversible error, and that's going to affect the whole thing. But when she took the stand, she wasn't good for the government anyway, because, you know, she just was so inconsistent about everything. She said, you know, for me, it's not all about the money. I just wanted to get my story out. So then she pays somebody to make it so her story doesn't come out. I mean, she gets paid to bury her story and not let her story out. Doesn't make any sense at all. It really doesn't.
And Dwane, I want to get your take here as well. The defense opening up with their cross-examination and saying flat out, do you hate Donald Trump? And she replies, yes. What do you think the jury is going to take from that?
Well, I think that whole line of questioning is going to be very, very fruitful because, when you hate somebody, you would lie to hurt them. And so she's going to try to do everything she can to hurt Donald Trump, whether it's telling the truth or not. And she's proven that she doesn't tell the truth. I mean, she said there was an affair, and then she signed affidavits saying there wasn't an affair. And then she comes back and says there was an affair. She is, she just has zero credibility.
And did you feel, Dwane, that maybe the defense for Donald Trump should have been speaking up more during the testimony?
That's a game time call. Sometimes you'll let stuff go by that shouldn't be coming in because number one, it doesn't hurt you, and number two, it probably solidified that this case will get reversed on appeal at some point. So not objecting, and then sometimes you don't object because you don't want to call attention to it. If you're objecting all the time when this witness is testifying, you give the witness more importance. The jury's going, gee, why don't they want me to hear what this witness has to say? And so you got to be very strategic about it. And, there can be a whole host of issues why a defense attorney won't object during a witness.
And I want to get your take, too. When you have someone on the stand like Stormy Daniels, and she's trying to be very descriptive and give long-form answers to questions, people on the jury might say, oh, she's giving a lot of detail. That must be because it's true and it happened. But can you just explain to viewers that, you could give a detailed answer doesn't mean that it's true?
She's had years to work on this story, and she's known she's going to be a witness in this trial for a long, long time. Okay. And so she's had time to work on her story. If you talk to somebody right after something happens and they give you really great detail, that might mean that what they're telling you is true. But years after the fact, when somebody has time to think about it, knowing that they're going to be on the stand, knowing that they're going to be on, this is going to be all over national TV, it wouldn't be unusual for somebody to invent a story and have it down pat by the time it comes to testimony.
And Dwane, we were speaking just before that question. I want to get a little bit more into what do you think are the chances there of a strong appeal actually winning for Donald Trump if it has to go down that way?
I would be absolutely shocked if this case wasn't reversed on appeal just from what's happened so far. And I'm sure there's going to be more. And I heard Alan Dershowitz said something very astute. He said, listen, they already know this is going to get overturned on appeal. So they're just not going to follow the rules for the rest of the trial because they really have nothing to lose. They want to get the conviction. And, and an appeal might be a year or a year and a half after the conviction, to clear his name. And that's, well before, that's well after the election. So, so you just don't know.
Yeah, that's very true too. And I also want to get your take, of course, Stormy Daniels, a big one for the prosecution. The other one that will be coming up soon, Michael Cohen. Of course, prosecution is going to have Michael Cohen there on the stand. And how do you think defense is getting ready for that moment as well?
Well, the defense is going to go back through every statement he's made. I mean, I guarantee you they've got people listening to his podcasts. They're going to find every inconsistent statement that he ever said. And plus, he's a convicted liar. I mean, he was found guilty of perjury. It's not just an accusation. He was found guilty of lying in court. And so, once you got a lie, once you got somebody that's a confirmed liar, I mean, I will guarantee you during closing arguments, the word liar will come out of the attorney's mouth dozens and dozens of times.
And for Donald Trump and the defense there, what would be your recommendation when you have someone up like Stormy Daniels there on the stand, or like we said, Michael Cohen coming up? Do you instruct your client, if it was Donald Trump, to be making eye contact with the witness or making eye contact with the jury during testimony? What would you say is the best bet?
Well, it's always good if you can look natural. I mean, like you're not trying to not look at somebody. I mean, I had a client once that I did a trial and I won the trial, and the jury said, and my client really was a poker player. They said, "God, your client would be a great poker player because we could never tell, what he thought of what the evidence was." And sometimes it can be good if you give signals to the jury about what you think testimony is and how bad it hurts you or doesn't hurt you. And sometimes you can overdo it and you really irritate the jurors. So, a good trial attorney always is commenting on the evidence with their facial expressions.
Well, there we go. And it was great to have you on to talk about the recap that was yesterday. As you said there, it was really a show. We'll see what happens starting tomorrow again. But Dwane Cates, thanks so much for joining us on Live Now from Fox. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Mike.